Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we got a tire repair video and I'm going to showcase these rope plugs that seem to be very popular. A lot of tire shops and mechanic shops will use these for a quick fix on any nail or anything inserted in the tire. And I've done videos on this before on how to plug a tire, but today's video I'm not only going to show you how to plug it using this on our screw that we have on this specific tire, but I'm also going to show you the inner workings of it and how it looks from the inside when you plug up a tire this way. So let's go ahead and begin today's video, guys. But before we do so, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below, smash that like button because it definitely helps the channel out. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started on today's video. Now before we go ahead and begin, guys, I do want to mention this tire is a junk tire that a customer of mine had removed off their car. They hit the sidewall, it has a puncture in it, and this tire sadly has a lot of life in it, but unfortunately it is trash. And I purposely put this screw in here just for video purposes, but this tire, just to let everyone know, will not be going back on any car. It's actually going to be going to the tire pile after this and going to be recycled. I'm just choosing this because it's in nice solid shape. Most of the tires that I have laying around the shop that I've taken off of cars are either bald or on steel radials already where you can see the belt. So you know, this was the nicest tire that I had to demonstrate this on. So first things first, what you're going to want to do is locate where your hole is, wherever your screw or your nail or whatever it is that got into your tire is located. Now you can do this many ways. You can use a spray bottle with water and dish soap. It'll help you bubble up and find where it's leaking, or you can dunk the tire inside of water to find your leak. Now that you've done whatever method it is that you decided to do to find your tire leak or where your nail or screw may be, what we're going to do is go ahead and take this off. Now this is a 8mm head sheet metal screw that I inserted here, guys. The head is not really run down or anything, but typically you can grab a pair of pliers and rip this off. However, I'm just going to use my 8mm gun that I used to insert it with to take it off. So once we have our screw out of there, you guys can clearly see the hole that we have made. And what you're going to want to do is, in order for the tire plug to work, if you typically buy a kit, let me see if I have one here that I can show you, but they will come with a reamer. Now the reamer typically looks something like this, and you know what it does is it goes in there, it'll fit in there, and it'll basically try to enlarge the hole for you so that tire plug can fit in there. And typically you will have an installation tool that looks like this. It has a little cutout there where the plug will go through, and you use this to insert it in. But for the first step, you're going to want to use your reamer, and what you're going to want to do is find where the hole is, insert this, and enlarge the hole. Now here at the shop, I'm not going to use an actual reamer. What I do is I use a drill bit that is the specific sizing for the plug that I'm using, and I'm going to go ahead and ream it out using this. Now we're going to find our hole, and what we're going to do is go ahead and insert this in here straight. And what we're going to do is go in and out sideways like this and try to clean up our hole and just enlarge it a bit. Now you can't really over drill this because it's a specific size, but you know, you want to make sure you get it good and open it up. Now I went ahead and I did my outside. Typically on these, you're not going to be de-rimming it. Even though this tire is not on a rim, you're not going to get a chance to de-rim the tire and go on the inside to ream it out. So all you can really do is clean up the outside areas with whatever method you choose. Now one thing that I do want to mention, guys, if your entry hole is here, and let's say it's a very long nail and you can see it going in at an angle, a tire plug is not going to fix your tire. As a matter of fact, it could be dangerous, because if your entry point is here but your exit point is, let's say, up here somewhere on the inside of the tire, there's no way that tire plug can go in at a 45-degree angle and try to cover up the tire, because your plies for your tire in between your steel belt and everything will be compromised at that point. So at that point you will need a tire. Just want to throw that out there so you guys can be very clear. Usually the best way to know if that is the case is to see what angle your screw or nail comes out of, or if you go in here with a drill or something in your reamer, if you find that you got to angle your tool like this to be able to go upwards, it is in sideways and you're not going to be able to fix it. But if your tool only goes in forward like this one, if you just push it in there and it goes straight, then that means you can fix your tire using this method. Now I had to take my tool out because I shoved it in there, so I had to, rotate it and make it come off easier. So now that we've enlarged our hole using our reamer that you would normally find in the kit, which in our case was a drill bit, what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and take your tire plug. Now these can be called a lot of things. They can be called string plugs. I commonly refer them as just a tire plug because all it does, it plugs in the tire. The way that they want you to do this is you're supposed to take your little insertion tool, and this can be a little challenging sometimes, and I probably won't be able to get it on camera, but what you're going to want to do is push your tire plug through the center hole right there. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it can be a real pain. I usually dread this process because it takes a long time sometimes. I got most of mine inserted in there, but the way I like to do this, guys, and I had to kind of go to my bench here and grab my pliers, but what you're going to do is just insert a small amount of it in there, and then what I like to do is grab it with a pair of side cutters and pull it through the rest of the way if possible. Let me see if I can get this one to kind of pull through here. This is probably the hardest part of this process, just getting this to go all the way in. And I'm failing miserably at this. Usually I'm pretty good at it, but maybe I'm just a little camera shy, I guess. I don't know what to call it. But let's see if we can get this pulled through. All right, so that is it right there. We got it pulled through, and what we're gonna do is you wanna pull it through about halfway in like that so you can see it's perfectly centered on our tool. And that's where you wanna get it at. Now that you have your plug installed on your tool, what I like to do, guys, is take some rubber cement and go ahead and put it on my tire plug. Some of these will already have some on there. They'll say they're self-vulcanizing. However, I still like to take some of my rubber cement and put it on here. Now I'm gonna open mine up. I didn't have it prepped for the camera, so let me see if I can just do this here. It doesn't take a lot, so definitely don't go too heavy on it, but I'm just going to take my rubber cement here and I'm going to line it up. This will help me out in two ways. One is going to lubricate this and help me push it in the hole, and secondly, it's gonna help dry it up and keep it in there a lot tighter. Now what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna angle the camera on the inside and give you an inside view and also show you an outside view. So let me go ahead and get the camera set up. So for the outside, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and insert your tool with your tire plug in the hole. Now keep in mind, typically there's going to be air coming out of this hole. You're going to have to keep it plugged up because the rim and the tire will still be installed. In this scenario, we don't have a rim attached to this tire, so this tire is going to want to buckle in because there's no pressure fighting me outward. So typically it's not too bad of a struggle, but let's see what happens here. Now I'm going to come in at an angle so you guys can see a lot better, just in case I have to wind up kind of blocking the view. But just to show you, we got our tire plug that's been lubricated. We are going to come into our hole here, and what we're going to do is push in and go ahead and get most of that in there. What I'm going to do is go ahead and give it a turn or two, and then what I'm going to do is brace my hand on the tire, and we are going to quickly just yank out our tire tool here. Just like that. Now you guys will notice our tire plug remained in the tire and our tool came out and there's no tire plug attached to it. To kind of explain this to you guys, if you will notice, and you may not pick it up very easily, this tire tool actually has a split off. If you guys will see right there, see how it has that cutoff in the center. So when you're pushing it in, what happens is you have this part that's not cut, it'll block it, so you're able to push it in. And then when you're coming out, since we have a cut right up here, and this is split into two parts, as you pull it out, those little fingers will open up and release and go ahead and clamp back down. That's how the tool is able to insert it and then clear itself of the plug after it's installed in the tire. Now let's go ahead on the inside and I'll show you guys the inside view of what we just did. So we have our camera set up, guys, and just to point it out, this is where our hole is going to be. Actually, let me go around. So just to show you guys for visual reference, right here is where our insertion point is, if you guys want to follow there. Now I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to insert it inside, and you guys will see it is basically pushing inward. Now when the tire has air in it, these go in a lot easier. Right now the tire is caving in, so it is fighting me a little bit, but as you guys see, we are fully inserted in there. Now the trick to this is I'm going to turn my tool about 2 to 3 turns, and after I get it turned in there, what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull out my tire plug, or pull out my tool I should say, really quickly. And you guys can see that I have my tool in my hand. I was able to pull it out, and my tire plug has remained in the tire. So we have our tire plug in the inside of our tire, guys. You guys can see it right there. I do apologize because I naturally want to come in on this side and point at stuff when I should be along this side. Now the tire plug is in. This is what they typically look like. There's nothing really raving or fancy that I could show you here, but in case you guys are curious, that's why I'm showing you the inside of the tire plug installed after installation. Now when the tire is installed on the wheel and you're using this method, there's not a whole lot you can do here. You know, once it's inserted, that's pretty much how it sits there forever until the tire is either taken off and, you know, repaired in a different method. Because these you can actually pull out no matter how long they've been in there, and you can actually put a plug patch on there if you want a more secure fit. But you know, whatever works for you. I've seen people drive on these for years without an issue, and I've seen them drive for a little bit and then they wind up having leaking issues because the tire may contour and, you know, have an issue. So you're gonna have to go in there and do a more permanent type of plug. But with this scenario, that's generally what they look like on the inside. Now, hypothetically speaking, let's say for some reason you have a tire shop or the equipment, and this is the only plug available to you and you use this method, but you want to make it a little bit more secure and you're able to de-rim your tire. Again, very hypothetical here. The only thing that, you know, I would do if that was the strange scenario where this is the only thing you can use and you have to take your tire off to install it, I would probably just take some rubber cement and put it on here kind of at the base where it would come in. That's about the only thing you can do. And then after the rubber cement will dry up in there, what I would probably do is just come in here with a sealer of sort, like a bead sealer, and then go ahead and put that on there. You know, just kind of layer it, and you always want to get into where the entry is. You're not really going to care too much about putting any on the actual tire plug, just mainly the areas where it's going to go into. And again, guys, this right here is just completely, you know, off topic. This is just like, if you have the option to take off your tire and for some reason you're doing this. Now, if you're taking off your tire and you have the capability of doing all of this, what you'd want to use is a plug patch, not just a tire plug. Because in reality, this is not as reliable as a plug patch. I have made a video on a plug patch showing you guys the exact same process of me putting it on and taking it off. You know, so for me, I don't know why people would use this method if you have access to that, because this is more of a temporary thing. Even though it works, it's very temporary, and I wouldn't trust it too much. I would mainly trust a plug patch. And if you guys want, I'll link that video at the end of this one. You guys can see me installing that. But that's all you can really do. Now, if you have no access to the wheel or rim, like I said, and you're doing this purely from the outside, once that plug is in there, it's just gonna look like we originally saw it, where it just sticks in there and nothing else. There's nothing else you can really do. If you have the capability to take it off and you're still using this method, at the very least, I would apply some rubber cement and some sealer, just like I showed you. But chances are that's not really gonna be the case, because people are using these without taking off the tire. So we're back outside the tire, and the last clip was me showing you what I would do if I was using this, let's say tire plug, but I had access to remove the wheel and get in there. Although, like I mentioned, guys, very highly unlikely, because typically if you're using a tire plug like this, it's because you're stuck somewhere and you got to get it in and out, or you're just trying to do a quick fix on it without having to remove the tire. That's the sole purpose that these more than likely probably exist. Now on the outside of our tire, you guys can see we have a little bit of our tire plug hanging out, and let me give you guys a little side shot here. You guys can see everything here. Now we have a little bit of a stem sticking out. I really didn't center it too great, simply because this tire is going to be in a disposal pile, guys. I just want to show you guys, how to do this on a good looking tire. So what I do at this stage, if this was on the car and on the rim, is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to take my knife or something, I'm going to kind of grab back this layer here, and I'm going to try to cut this as flush as I can with my tire. Usually you want to try to recess a little bit if you can, but you can't really do that with these because you can't really pull them out and have them pull back in. Once you pull out, the whole plug will move within itself. Now, with us coating it with that tire cement, this is a really sticky item. The reason why we're coating it is it made it easy to install it, and on top of that, it'll actually help it stick a lot better on the inside and vulcanize to the rubber for a better seal. Now, most tire shops or people would stop at that. Once you cut it off, they'll say, hey, you know what, it's good to go, leave it be. Now, a little extra insurance, guys, at least for me, is I take my tire cement, and very little amount, I'm going to put some right out here on the outer area, and that'll help seal up my area. It's a little bit extra insurance. Now, it doesn't really do anything or do a big amount of deal, probably not, but that's just how I've done it for years, where I seal it up, and I haven't really had any issues with these failing. I have done quite a few of these, and even here in the city, most people do not want to pay to get a plug patch because these are usually quick, cheap and easy, about $15 to $20 to do this style plug on here at most places, depending on where you go. It's a lot cheaper, quicker, and faster than an inside-out plug patch, but these aren't as secure. Now, I've done them like this exact way without any of the inside stuff that I showed you earlier, and they do last. I really haven't had them come back. So we went ahead and we coated the outside of the plug, guys, with our rubber cement. As you guys can see, it's all dried up. This will technically be ready to go ahead and put out on the road. Now, one thing that I do want to mention that I don't want to overlook in this video is that if you guys notice, we did our repair within the center tread. Most places will only repair a tire within the center tread area. If it's anything beyond that, they won't. Now, here's my takeaway on this. I will repair it if it's center tread, and if it's a little bit close to center tread, like let's say right about here, guys, to me that's still in the tread profile, so I will go ahead and do a repair. However, if it starts going on the outer edge, like the corner or somewhere out here or firewall area, it is not a repairable tire. At that point, you're going to be getting a new tire. Just to throw that out there. Now, also, every state has different styles provisions for this. Some states do not allow these. It just varies. So check your local laws and see what you're able to use in your local area. Because I find some states allow them, some don't. They can be illegal in some parts of the country. So always just double check before you do anything. But as far as that, guys, that's how you pretty much plug a tire. So that's how easy it is to repair a tire using a plug. Although this is not my most favorite method of doing this, it does work. It's quick, cheap, and easy, and can get you on the road really quick, guys, especially in an emergency situation. However, I would not trust this to be a long-term fix. I do use this style in my shop because being in Chicago, there's a lot of people that don't have the time to sit there and wait, 30 to 40 minutes to do a plug patch on a tire. They want the quick in and out. Plus, these tend to be very cheap and inexpensive. I could get a customer out using one of these as long as it's safe to be able to repair the tire with this type of plug, because like I said, there are certain areas that you can use this on and certain areas where you cannot. Typically anything along the sidewall or side tread of the tire, you cannot use this type of repair on. But as long as it's within the middle and it is able to be used, it typically takes me about 5 to 10 minutes to get a customer in and out to do this type of repair. It's really not that bad, especially if you can find where your nail or screw is quite quickly. It's in and out pretty fast and effective. So with that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe. It definitely helps the channel grow. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.